Hi. If you're a leader or educator who's planning to or already leads multi age teams, then I've got 4 insights that's going to really help you to lead more effectively. So I'm bringing this to your attention because we're seeing this multi age team being played out literally as I speak. So, with the sad passing of the Queen, she was part of the silent generation. Then Charles, who's now King, he's part of the baby boomers, Williams, and millennial. If we look across the pond, to America, we've got Nancy Pelosi. She's the Speaker of the House. She's 82. We have Joe Biden, President at 79. They're both part of the silent generation because they were born before 1946. And then if we think about the White House as an institution, as an employer, then all of the generations will be there, from the silent generation through to baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z. So the reality of 5 generations is alive and well. Now, why should this matter to you? Because each demographic has a different set of skills, a different set of needs that you do need to accommodate. So, here are 4 insights that can help you. One, pay attention to the macro trends that are shaping all of us. One in particular is technology. It's ubiquitous. We can't escape it, even if we wanted to. But as a leader and educator, be honest with yourself. How, on top of the kind of moving trends, how aware are you about the disruptive technologies that are shaping the world of work? If we think about the construction industry, for example, so you're laying the foundations literally brick by brick. But if we think about 3D printing and 4D printing, well, you can actually print whole houses, you can print buildings. Now, if you're unaware about those types of changes in technology, then you can't serve your stakeholders, and your staff team, your employees or your colleagues are your key stakeholder. So that's one thing to pay attention to, is macro trends. Another macro trend is about longevity. We're living longer. So no longer are we following the kind of biblical trend of 70. We're living way beyond our 70s, 80s, 90s, 100 and beyond. So as a leader and educator, how are you accommodating the range of ages within your workplace? Moving from the macro, let's look at the micro. So each demographic has a certain set of needs and goals and desires that they have. So if we pick the baby boomer for a moment, because a baby boomer could be a carer for grandchildren as well as a carer of her parents. She may still need to work. She can't afford to retire. So the 9 to 5 way of working is not going to suit that type of baby boomer. And she equally has so much that she can contribute to the workplace. So the trend has shifted. This idea of the 3 stages of life. You've got education, you've got employment and retirement. Well, that's, literally diminishing as I speak, because you've got Gen Z who could equally be interested in working for a company that aligns with his values, as well as he might want to have a startup as well as travel. So, as a leader, how are you going to accommodate those types of specifics for that particular employee? So, when you're thinking about the the kind of micro world, you need to really be a problem solver. And that's the third point. How can you pre-solve some of the problems that your employees, your colleagues, your teams could be facing? Somebody who was fantastic at this is one of my favorite business leaders, and I came across him back in the 90s, and his name is Ricardo Semler. He was a CEO. I think he's now the chair of the Semco group of companies. They're based in Brazil. And he introduced this idea of corporate democracy. And he treated his colleagues as adults as opposed to children, and literally flipped the script in terms of decision making. And so employees, his colleagues, decided their hours of work, the time of work, the style of working, the pattern of working. And they collectively agreed upon how will the targets of the company be actually met. And once that happened, profits just skyrocketed. But he took a very intelligent, emotionally engaging approach to connecting with his colleagues. And he fused the idea of productivity fused with employee happiness. So he's somebody that you should really pay attention to. He wrote two fantastic books. First one I read was back in the 90s, and it's called Maverick. And it's the blueprint to how we actually set up this whole idea of treating colleagues as adults who can make intelligent choices for their own lives. So he was then helping them to problem solve as well as meet the business needs. So he's fantastic. So this idea of pre-solving some of the problems. So you really need to get under the hood, or raise the veil, lift that veil to understand what are the specificities of your particular demographic that will span five. And then finally, this idea of success. What does success mean? What could it mean? What does it mean to each and every employee that you have that spans this 5 generations? Another phenomenal transformational leader is Gary Vaynerchuk, who runs VaynerMedia, VaynerX, and all of those companies that come under the Vayner brand. Again, an intelligent leader who flipped the script and understood his thesis is I, meaning Gary, work for the 1,000+ employee team that he has. And so he has spent time literally meeting with every single one of his colleagues to understand what makes them tick. What does success mean for them? For some, it could be a £10,000 or $10,000 raise. For others, it could be taking 6 months off. Whatever the peculiarities are, they've met and then they've put a plan together and then reverse engineered to see how reasonably the needs of his colleague could be incorporated within the world of work and still being able to hit those productivity targets. So they are 4 insights that if you're a leader and you're an educator or a trainer that's working with multi-age teams, these are 4 insights that will really help you strategically plan, operationally plan, and engage with your colleagues. And together you will problem solve. Together, everybody will feel seen in the world of work and can then work from the place of giving their absolute best, because they're not just job titles, they are people, and you as a leader and an educator connects with them on that level. So the first one is about understanding macro trends that will help to shape your strategic plans. The second is focusing down and looking at the micro trends or trend that really does speak to a particular demographic. The third one is about how can you problem solve? How can you pre-solve some of those problems that will facilitate the journey of employee happiness and employee engagement? And then to really finalize things, understand what does success mean for each and every one of your colleagues? Because if you can solve that, your colleagues then become phenomenal brand advocates. And brand advocates means that it's an ability for you to attract even more business, because the internal world, the culture of your company is fused with everybody else in it. And so therefore, as leaders, you are ensuring that you are speaking to, connecting to, and delivering to your stakeholders, and your colleagues are key stakeholders. So that's it. That's what I wanted to share with you in this episode. So I'll see you next time. Bye.